The medical station floated silently above the neutral trade world of Asterion. It was a place where every species came for help, a symbol of peace among the stars. Inside the shining halls of the station, alien medics from dozens of worlds worked, side by side, using the most advanced technologies to heal the sick and injured. One ordinary day turned tragic when a rescue ship arrived, carrying the survivors of a starship crash. Among them was a small alien child, unconscious and barely alive. His skin was pale, his breathing weak, and strange patterns glowed faintly across his body like fading stars. The medics rushed him into the emergency chamber. Screens flashed with data. Machines hummed, and alien doctors spoke in hurried tones. They used every tool, every medicine, and every piece of knowledge they had. But with every passing hour, the readings grew worse. The child was unlike any species they had treated before. His body rejected every medicine. His strange, energy-based organs confused even the most experienced specialists. Dr. Vathril, a tall reptilian alien with brilliant green eyes, finally stepped back, his long claws trembling. "We have tried every method," he said softly, to the other medics. "His body is failing. We cannot save him." The room fell silent. Other medics lowered their heads in defeat. It was not often that the station failed to heal someone. They were proud of their skills. But this time, they had no answers. Standing near the door was Ilara Quinn, a human foster mother who had come to the station that day to look for war orphans. She had raised children from many different species before, giving homes to those who had lost everything, in wars and disasters. Ilara watched the scene with wide, worried eyes. Her dark hair was tied back, and her simple clothes made her look very different from the sleek medics and their shining devices. "What will happen to him now?" she asked, softly. Dr. Vathril turned to her, sadness in his voice. "There is nothing more we can do. His body will not last another day. We must make him comfortable until the end." Ilara felt a heavy weight in her chest. She stepped closer to the child, her footsteps echoing in the quiet room. The boy's small hand lay limp on the table, and his breathing was shallow. "Are you just going to give up?" she asked, her voice trembling but firm. The medics exchanged uneasy looks. To them, it was not about giving up. It was about accepting the limits of science. "Ilara Quinn," said Dr. Vathril carefully, "we are sorry. We have tried everything. Nothing more can be done." Ilara looked down at the child. She did not know his name, his home, or his family. She only knew that he was alone, scared, and dying. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "Not today." The alien doctors stared at her, confused. "What do you mean?" one of them asked. Ilara took a deep breath. "You may have given up," she said slowly, "but I haven't. If no one else can save him, then I will try. Let me take him. Let me care for him." The medics hesitated. "You are human," Dr. Vathril said. "Your species has limited medical technology. What could you possibly do that we could not?" "I don't know," Ilara admitted, "but I won't just stand here and let him die. Maybe I don't have your machines. Maybe I don't understand his biology. But I can stay. I can fight for him. I can refuse to let go." Her voice carried something strange, something that made even the proud alien doctors pause. It was not arrogance. It was not ignorance. It was hope, a stubborn, unshakable hope that they could not understand. Dr. Vathril looked at the boy, then at Ilara. Slowly, he nodded. "You may take him," he said quietly. "But you must understand, his chances are very low." "I know," Ilara said softly. She carefully lifted the child into her arms. He was light, far too light, and She felt how weak he was. As she carried him out of the room, the medics watched silently. To them, it felt like handing him to fate. But to Ilara, it felt like the first step in a fight she refused to lose. Outside the chamber, the station lights glowed warmly. Ilara walked down the quiet hallway, holding the boy close. "You're not alone anymore," she whispered to him. "Not today. Not ever." And though the child was unconscious, a faint light flickered in his glowing patterns, as if some small part of him had heard her. It was the beginning of something no one in the galaxy would ever forget. Ilara carried the child to a small room on the medical station that had been given to her while she waited for adoption paperwork. The room was simple, with a narrow bed, a table, and a single light that glowed softly above. She laid the child down gently, his faint glow casting strange patterns on the walls. For a long moment, Ilara just sat beside him, holding his tiny hand. His breathing was still shallow and his skin felt cold. She could see how fragile he was, as if a single wrong moment could take him away forever. Most people would have felt helpless. Ilara felt fear too, but behind that fear was something stronger, determination. "You're still here," she whispered. "That means you want to live. So we'll fight together." She opened the small medical kit humans were allowed to carry. It was nothing compared to the alien technology outside, but it had bandages, fluids, and some basic tools. Ilara also called up the station's database on her tablet, searching for any information about the child's species. But there was almost nothing, only a few old reports about energy-based beings who rarely left their homeworld. "Fine," Ilara muttered. "If no one knows what to do, then we'll figure it out ourselves." She spent the next hours checking his body carefully, using both her eyes and her hands. She noticed that his glowing patterns flickered more when she touched certain parts of his chest, like they were linked to his heart. She also realized that his skin absorbed heat more than normal, so she wrapped him in soft blankets and placed a gentle heating lamp nearby. Ilara stayed awake all night. She cleaned his wounds carefully, fed him small drops of nutrient fluid through a tube, and kept talking to him even though he didn't respond. "Stay with me," she said again and again. "You're strong. I know you're strong." Outside the room, alien medics passed by, peeking in with puzzled looks. They couldn't understand why she was trying so hard when all science said it was hopeless. One of the medics, a tall insectoid, named Giraffe, finally stepped inside. "Human," he said softly. "Why do you continue? You know the odds. The others, they believe you are wasting time." Ilara didn't look up from the child. "Maybe I am," she said calmly. "But if I give up, then he really has no chance. I'd rather try and fail than sit and watch him fade away." Giraffe tilted his head, confused. Among his species, life and death were accepted as natural cycles. The idea of fighting against death itself, even when defeat seemed certain, was strange. "You believe your care will change the outcome?" he asked. Ilara finally looked at him. "I don't know, but I've raised children who had nothing, children who were scared, hungry, and alone, and sometimes all they needed was for someone to believe in them." Giraffe left without another word, but something about her answer stayed in his mind. Hours turned into another day. Ilara barely slept. She improvised treatments, warming special nutrient packs, massaging the child's small limbs so they wouldn't stiffen. She studied every reaction, adjusting her care little by little. Then, sometime during the second night, she noticed something. His breathing grew just a bit deeper. It was still weak, but stronger than before. Her heart leapt. "You're still fighting," she whispered with a smile. "Good. Don't stop now." By the third day, word had spread across the station. Medics and visitors from many species gathered quietly near her room. They had seen hopeless cases before, but never a human who refused to surrender. Even Dr. Vathrel came to see. He stood at the doorway, watching silently as Alara hummed a soft melody while feeding the child another drop of nutrient fluid. "You have done more than I expected," he admitted. "His condition, it has not worsened. That alone is surprising." Alara looked at him, tired but still smiling. "It's not just medicine. It's care. He needs to feel safe, wanted, alive." Vathrel studied her with an expression that was almost respect. Perhaps humans have a kind of healing that cannot be measured. That night, as Alara sat with the child, she felt a faint squeeze on her hand. It was so light that she thought she imagined it. But then, she saw it. The child's glowing patterns shimmered softly, like the first light of dawn. Her eyes filled with tears. "You're coming back to me," she whispered. For the first time since the crash, she truly believed he might live. And far away across the galaxy, the first whispers began to spread. About the strange human woman who refused to accept death when every alien medic had given up. The child's tiny fingers curled weakly around Alara's hand. It was only for a moment, but it was enough to make her heart race with hope. She leaned closer and whispered, "That's it. Stay with me. We're not done yet." Each day after, that felt like a battle. The boy's condition was fragile, like a candle burning in the wind. Alara knew that one mistake could undo everything, but she refused to let fear control her. She created a routine. In the morning, she warmed special nutrient packs and fed him carefully through a small tube. She massaged his limbs to keep his body active. She kept him wrapped in soft blankets and under a gentle heat lamp. She spoke to him constantly, telling him stories about the children she had raised and the places she had seen. "You don't know me yet," she would say softly, brushing his glowing skin with her fingers. "But you're not alone. You're safe now." The alien medics still visited, curious about her methods. Most of them remained doubtful. Their technology was far more advanced, yet it had failed. To them, what Alara was doing looked primitive. But there was one thing they couldn't explain. The child was slowly improving. Dr. Vathrel returned daily to study the boy. "His energy levels are rising," he said one morning, scanning the child. "It is small, but it is real. This should not be possible." Alara gave a tired smile. "Sometimes healing isn't just about medicine. Sometimes it's about refusing to let someone go." Girath, the insectoid medic, was also fascinated. He had never seen such dedication. "Human," he asked one evening, "why do you sacrifice so much time? You do not even know this child. He is not your species." Alara paused, holding the boy's small hand. "Because he deserves a chance. Because someone has to care. It doesn't matter if he's not human. He's a child. That's enough." Girath thought about her words for a long time before quietly leaving. As the days passed, Alara noticed more signs of life. The boy's glow grew a little brighter. His breathing became steadier. One night, as she sang a soft lullaby, she felt him move. Just a slight twitch, but it was movement. "You're fighting," she whispered proudly. "I'm proud of you." Her determination began to inspire others on the station. Alien staff who had once dismissed her efforts now stopped to bring her food, supplies, or even words of encouragement. Some stayed to watch, amazed by the bond forming between the human and the dying child. One afternoon, an elderly alien healer approached her. "I have practiced medicine for 300 years, he said slowly. "I thought I understood healing, but you show me that care is as powerful as any tool." Alara simply nodded. She didn't need praise. She just wanted the boy to live. But the fight was far from over. On the seventh night, alarms on the monitor suddenly blared. The boy's energy levels dropped sharply. Ilara's heart pounded as she grabbed her medical kit, doing everything she could, warming fluids, adjusting his position, speaking to him, in a steady, calm voice. "Don't you leave me now," she said firmly, her eyes wet with tears. "You've come too far. You're stronger than this. Stay with me." The aliens rushed in, ready to assist, but they only watched as Ilara worked. She didn't use fancy machines or complicated technology. She used simple methods: heat, fluids, touch, and words. Slowly, painfully, the child's energy readings began to rise again. The glowing patterns on his body flickered brighter, as though answering her voice. The medics were stunned. Their training had prepared them for this. When the crisis finally passed, Ilara sat back in her chair, exhausted but relieved. She brushed a hand across her face and whispered, "That's my brave boy. You're not going anywhere." For the first time since the crash, Dr. Vathril stepped forward and bowed his head slightly. "Ilara Quinn, I do not understand your methods, but I respect your will. Perhaps humans possess something we cannot measure." Ilara looked at him, her voice quiet, but firm. "It's simple. We don't give up on the ones we love." That night, as the boy slept peacefully for the first time, Ilara held his small hand and smiled through her tears. The fight wasn't over, but for the first time, she truly believed they might win. Outside the room, whispers spread across the station. Aliens who had never understood humans began to wonder. Maybe there was more to this strange species than anyone had believed. Days slowly turned into weeks. The child was still weak, but every day he grew a little stronger. His glowing patterns, once dim and fading, now pulsed with a soft, steady light. Ilara stayed by his side always, sleeping in a chair beside his bed, waking at the smallest sound. One morning, as she hummed a gentle tune, the boy's eyes opened for the first time. They were large and bright, filled with wonder and fear. Ilara froze, her heart racing. "Hey there," she whispered softly, smiling through tears. "You're awake." The boy stared at her silently. His lips moved, but no sound came out. He seemed confused, unsure of where he was. Ilara gently took his hand. "You're safe," she said. "I'm Ilara. I've been looking after you. You don't have to be afraid." Slowly, the boy blinked and gave the tiniest nod. News spread quickly through the station. The child who had been given no chance to live had opened his eyes. Medics and visitors from every species came to see the miracle for themselves. Dr. Vathril examined him carefully. "His recovery is beyond reason," he admitted. "By every law of science, this should not have happened." "It did," Ilara said simply, brushing the boy's hair back gently. The boy slowly began to respond. More each day. He learned to drink tiny sips of water, then small amounts of liquid food. He couldn't speak yet, but his eyes followed Ilara everywhere. He started to react to her voice, his glowing patterns flickering softly whenever she held him. Giraffe. The insectoid medic observed one day and asked, "He reacts to you more than anyone else. Why is that?" Ilara smiled, looking down at the boy. "Because he knows I won't leave him. Because he trusts me." Trust was not something alien medicine could create. Machines could heal bodies, but they could not give comfort. The bond between Ilara and the child grew stronger every day. She spoke to him constantly, telling him about Earth's blue oceans, green forests, and children who loved to play under the sun. One night, as she tucked the blankets around him, the boy reached out, a trembling hand, and touched her cheek. His patterns glowed brighter, as if he was trying to tell her something without words. Ilara held his hand gently. "You don't have to speak," she whispered. I understand. The aliens watching nearby felt something unfamiliar stir inside. Them. Many of them came from worlds where emotions were private or unimportant, but watching the human and the boy together made them question what true healing meant. Even the elderly healer who had practiced for centuries admitted softly, "Perhaps we have forgotten that care is as important as medicine." This human reminds us. Soon the boy began to sit up with Alara's help. His first weak smile lit up the room like sunlight. It was a small thing, but it made everyone who saw it fall silent. Dr. Vathril finally spoke. "Your persistence has changed what we believed possible. You humans, you fight even when there is no hope." "Why?" Alara looked at him with tired but proud eyes. "Because sometimes hope is all we have, and sometimes that's enough." The story of Alara and the boy spread beyond the station. Visitors carried the tale to other worlds, of a human woman who saved a dying alien child when even the greatest doctors could not. But for Alara, none of that mattered. All that mattered was the boy's growing strength. Each day he stayed alive was a victory. Each smile he gave her was a reward greater than anything else. One evening, as they sat together, the boy finally spoke his first word. His voice was soft, fragile. "Mother," he whispered. Alara froze. Tears filled her eyes instantly. She held him close, unable to speak for a moment. "I'm here," she whispered finally, "and I'm not going anywhere." Outside the room, many aliens watched quietly. They didn't speak, but something deep inside them changed. For the first time, they understood why humans were different. It wasn't strength or technology that made them special. It was their unshakable love, their refusal to let go, their belief that life was always worth fighting for. And in that small room on the station, a bond had formed. One stronger than science, stronger than any machine, and powerful enough to change hearts across the stars. The days that followed were filled with quiet miracles. The boy, once on the brink of death, grew stronger each morning. His glowing patterns shone brighter, and his eyes sparkled with curiosity and life. Alara never left his side. She was patient and kind, always ready with a smile or a soft word. She helped him learn to stand, then to take his first shaky steps. Every small achievement was a victory they celebrated together. The medical station buzzed with a new energy. The story of the human foster mother who refused to give up spread quickly, inspiring many. Visitors from distant planets came to see the boy and the woman who saved him. They came with respect, wonder, and hope. One afternoon, as Alara helped the boy walk down the station's long corridors, a group of alien medics gathered to watch. Dr. Vathril approached her, his usual serious expression softened by a rare smile. "You have done something extraordinary," he said. "You showed us that healing is not just science. It is care, love, and hope." Alara looked down at the boy, who was holding her hand tightly, his small face bright with a shy smile. "It is what every child deserves," she said simply. The boy stopped and looked up at Alara. "Mother," he said clearly for the first time. His voice was stronger now, filled with warmth. Tears filled Alara's eyes. "Yes, I am your mother," she whispered, "and I always will be." The aliens around them nodded with respect. For the first time, many understood the true power of humanity, its endless heart, its ability to hope when others lose faith. News of the boy's recovery reached many worlds. Leaders and healers spoke of Alara's courage and the strange strength of humans. They began to see humans not just as warriors or explorers, but as beings of great compassion and spirit. As weeks passed, the boy learned to speak more words. He laughed and played with other children on the station. His strength returned fully, and the strange glow that had once worried everyone became a beautiful, steady light, a sign of life and hope. Ilara watched him grow with pride. She knew this was only the beginning of his life, a life he would live not as a lost child, but as someone loved and valued. One evening, as the sun set behind the station's windows, Ilara sat with the boy on her lap. She told him stories of Earth, of green forests, tall mountains, and deep oceans. "You come from a place far from here," she said softly, "but now this place is your home. You are never alone." The boy smiled and looked up at her. "Thank you, Mother," he said. Ilara hugged him tightly. "Thank you for fighting. You taught me how to never give up." The medical station was no longer just a place of science. It had become a symbol of hope, a reminder that even when all seems lost, love can bring life back. Ilara and the boy were proof of that truth. Together, they showed the galaxy that sometimes the greatest strength comes not from machines or weapons, but from a simple human heart that refuses to quit. And as the stars shone brightly outside, Ilara whispered, "Not today, not ever."